Hello and welcome to another one of our Dev Diary dive-throughs, I guess we can call them. So, yeah, as always, we start with the Sunday teaser, and again, forgot to do it yesterday. I was like super tired, so I just went straight to bed, didn't do any recording last night. So yes, Sunday teaser. And here we have the Senate support and impact of declaring war on Phrygia in game Imperator. More details on the Senate today, right? So, here we can see the thumbs mean Senate saying yes or no. So the Senate says yes to this, but we still can't do it. I guess this is the other country saying no, what the X and the tick is. Senate saying yes is the thumbs up. I guess this is a no, although you would think it would be thumbs down. Maybe this is undecided, or I don't care. Maybe split vote, perhaps. Maybe, I can't imagine there'd be three that would be undecided, though. Maybe there is a no. Support and impact of declaring war. Anyway, well, this is this. Declaring war on Phrygia. Also, you can see a few more of the countries that are around here. I always find, I know, this Iberia has nothing to do with Spanish Iberia. I still find it a bit funny to see it every time. Alright, so on to the Dev Diary. Hello everyone and welcome to another development diary for Imperator. Today is the lucky number 13 and we'll talk about how the politics in republics work, or more specifically the Senate. The Senate in a republic has 100 seats, and each seat belongs to one of 5 factions. Every adult character in a republic has a predilection of each faction and is supportive of one. Each faction also has a leader, generally the most prominent character that supports that faction. Depending on which faction the ruler of the republic belongs to, the republic gets various bonuses or malices. Civic faction gives plus 25% tax income, 10% cheaper and faster buildings. Military faction gives you land morale and naval morale. Mercantile faction gives commerce income and plus 5 diplo rep. Religious faction gives omen duration and cheaper religious conversion, and the populist faction is apparently completely negative and only increases your, power costs. So, yeah, populists good for literally nothing. That's the first thing that I kind of think is a little bit iffy. I think if you're gonna have one there shouldn't be a good guy and a bad guy kind of thing. Every kind of faction should have their place. If populists were entirely negative, there was no benefits whatsoever to them, then they wouldn't exist. Like, no one would vote for them, especially in the Senate. People vote for things. And you can make the argument that perhaps they are... how would you make this argument? You can make the argument that the people voting for them are misguided or, wrong, but you have to actually make that argument. You can't just, say it and have it be true, right? So, I don't think populist faction should be objectively negative. I think everything should have a bonus and a malus. So, say the civic faction, 25% tax income, 10% cheaper and faster buildings, but perhaps the civic faction ain't so happy with warfare. So, I don't know, if war exhaustion is a thing, maybe have it give you plus 0.05 war exhaustion. Military faction may be really good at morale. They're military. They do stuff with the military. But with it being the military, they are less focused on internal development, so you get a little bit less tax income. Maybe the taxes go to funding the military, so you get, negative 5% tax income, but you get some shit-hot land morale bonuses for that. Everything should have bonuses and malices. Everything should be balanced. Insert Thanos meme. Yeah. But having everything be, oh yeah, these have objectively good bonuses. You may prefer some of these bonuses to others in certain situations, but all of them have objectively good things, apart from these guys. You don't want these guys. I don't like it. I'm just going to say that. I don't like it. And that's got nothing to do with my personal, political affiliations. I just don't think that you should have objectively good and objectively bad when it comes to this kind of thing. There needs to be some kind of balance. But anyway, let's move swiftly on. For modders, you can freely add or remove factions and make them available to different government types, or have any type of trigger allowing the faction to give unique ones. Good. More stuff for modders is always a positive in my book, because I mod the shit out of everything I play. As you may notice there, having populists in power is not entirely beneficial. That's putting it mildly. The amount of seats in the Senate changes over time, depending on different factors, with the charisma of the faction leader always impacting the attraction of the seats. Populist leaders tend to be quite charismatic, so it seems like populist faction being in power is basically you fucked up and you didn't ruin them, so they rose up because charisma. Yay. Alright, well, fair enough. If you wish to strengthen a party's position in the Senate instantly, you can always spend oratory power to convince 10 seats to join that faction instead. Doing so, however, increases your tyranny. I mean, I understand, like, it makes sense. Oratory power to, your words, your skill as an orator, to convince people to join you. But what makes more sense? Here, have a big, fat bucket full of gold coins. Join me. Bribery absolutely was a thing. Speaking mana, word mana, word points. I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but there's something there that makes even more sense and is actually tangible. So why not just have it be money? Anyway. So, why must you take into account the composition of the Senate? Well, there are 3 types of activities where the Senate will impact your ability to do exactly what you want at any given time, like a ruler in an absolute monarchy. The Senate can outright block you if the support for the action you desire to do, if less than 40 seats is currently backing that action. If less than 60 seats back that action, you can force it through, but you will gain some tyranny from it. Okay. There are 3 different categories of actions which require Senate approval. All changing of laws require approval by the Senate, a lot of character interactions like banishing, imprisoning, etc., and all diplomatic interactions with other nations. Okay, this kind of feels a little bit like the council mechanic in CK2, and for the council, it kind of felt like the entirety of the council mechanic was based upon getting rid of the council, and I really, really hope that the same isn't true here, because Senate seems kind of fun to deal with. It's worrying that it's going to be better without a Senate, and losing the Senate being a good thing would mean that your entire gameplay is revolving around getting rid of mechanics, and I don't like that idea. Just like I'm not a fan of the council in CK2, purely because the entirety of that system, like getting the most out of that system, involves losing that system, right? So, yeah, I think it needs to tread carefully. It needs to sort of kind of finagle its way around it, so that getting rid of the Senate is not just objectively better. Again, you gotta have your pros and your cons, otherwise it basically makes mandatory a metagame, where this is the best thing to do in every situation, because if you don't do this, you're hampering yourself for no good reason. I mean, one good reason could be roleplay, but your roleplay has its place, and you shouldn't be, forced to roleplay just to make use of mechanics, right? Anyway, moving on. If the Senate will approve an action or not depends very much on its composition and what you want to do. Military faction is very likely to back new wars, but having some of their seats will be against wars if you have war exhaustion, low manpower, or currently in a war. When you do an action, a lot of times it has impact on the characters of your nation. Loyalty is lost or gained depending on faction membership, and seats are gained and lost for different factions. For modders, all of this can be controlled entirely through powerful scripting language. Here is an example of the Senate calculations for declare war. Yeah, I can't read this. But imagine if I was reading this, just as like, always underscore modifier, space equals curly brackets. Yeah, I'm not doing that. But you know, modders, stuff, read, good. I'm assuming it's good stuff. Stay tuned next week. We'll talk even more politics with laws and offices. Okay. So, is this the same picture? No, it isn't. This is Carthage. Okay, so Rome, looking at Carthage, proclaim guarantee. You can't do that because of reasons, but you can see there the support from different factions. So it was the civic faction, the military faction, the something or other mercantile faction or something like that. Then the fire pit is the religious faction, and then the fist with the cloth there is the populists. Fair enough. So yeah, 60 seats behind demand tribute. Oh yeah, mercantile faction. I was right. Yeah, I mean that seems fair. I mean it's kind of odd that every single faction has exactly the same amount of seats. That is very interesting. Is that the start of the game, maybe? That's the start state? It could be. 1st of January? Sort of makes sense. I don't know when the game starts. Is it 450? Could be, okay. Changes in seats. Okay, so if you declare war on Carthage, you'll get a change in seats. The militarists will get +3 seats. Ah, okay, fair enough. That's interesting. Doing certain actions will also change the amount of seats a certain thing has. So then I guess you can sort of figure out which actions that don't really affect your country too much lose the most amount of populists, and you just do those. Maybe. I don't know. It's going to be something I'm going to need to get my hands on and figure out, but I definitely think there should be some pro to having populists. Maybe, I mean, populists, like the name implies, they're popular. Like, they wouldn't get in power otherwise. They tell people what they want to hear. Whether that's true or not, I mean, that it all depends on your view of what the particular populist, what they're saying. I'm sure there are populists that are full of, you know, lies and all that, but I'm sure there are some that are telling the truth. So all depends on it's not all populists are this. It's, you know, this populist is this. God, dancing around politics is fucking hard. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like populists tell people what they want to hear. That's kind of like the definition of them, right? So would that perhaps make sense to have, if they're in power, stability cost modifier? Because if you're telling people what they want to hear, your country's a bit more stable, right? That would make sense. Stability cost modifier? 10% or something? I mean, the other bonuses are quite a lot stronger than that, though. I mean, 25% tax income, 25% land morale. Those are fucking huge bonuses. Commerce income, 25%. That's massive. That is gargantuan bonuses. Stability cost 50%? No, that's way too much. You know, maybe 25%. Just meet you right there in the middle, 25%. What else? I mean, I don't really see power costs. I mean, in general, I don't see power, you know, the mana really relating to anything tangible, so I can't say that it makes sense or doesn't make sense, because I mean, it doesn't relate to anything that I can physically say, oh, this is this, right? So power costs going up, or down or whatever. I mean, it doesn't make any difference really. But what else could you put in the populist faction? Because I don't like this, right? I'm just going to put it out there. I don't like this. And as I said in the last episode of my Dev Diary talkthroughs, if you say you don't like something, unless you come up with an alternative, don't say anything, right? So what would I put as a populist faction, bonus and malice to, make it neat, right? So, as I said, for the civic faction, taxes go up and the buildings are better. But maybe they're less focused on the military. So military maintenance or, morale maybe goes down. Or, just morale goes down. Military faction, don't give a shit about trade. They're spending taxes on the military. So your tax income goes down 5%. Mercantile faction, they're super tradey. So they are focusing less on tradey factions in the Antiquity era would be like Athens and Carthage. So what were they bad at? I mean, I wouldn't even say they were bad at land warfare. Maybe diplomatic No, not diplomatic relations. You'd have to have good relations for somebody to, trade with them. What would you have if you were a mercantile faction? What would be your downside? It'd probably be, land-based combat. Maybe you're too trusting of people. Religious factions, I mean, you're praising the gods too much. So you're less focused on, real world things, and you're more focused on, your religion. So maybe something to do with that. I don't know. But either way, I think stability cost goes down. And instead of power cost, because that's just bollocks, populists are generally kind of militaristic, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, right? What would you put for these factions if you were to do them? And again, we don't have our hands on the game yet. So this is all speculation. It all means nothing until we get our hands on the game and we can make suggestions. But right now, I don't like the fact that there is one objectively bad one, and I just don't think that should be it. I think everything should have their pros and cons. Anyway, that's me. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you next week for another Dev Diary dive-in talk-through thing. See you then.